fans, Black Friday has come early this year, and we're ripping up our prices for a limited time only. Get the heaviest hitting deal of the year. Save up to 33% on all plans and stack up your fight calendar with over 150 fights a year. Live on DAZN.
What a fight we have here in our main event.
And then enjoy a knockout November schedule. Subscribe before November 29th. Sign up at DAZN.com/boxing.
We can add another name to the list of professional boxers calling out Jake Paul now. Daniel Dubois apparently DM'd Jake Paul. Hi Jake, good business on the weekend, but how would you feel fighting for the legitimate heavyweight championship of the world? This is Daniel Dubois calling you out. Let's get it on. This was apparently a DM. This was yesterday American time, from Daniel Dubois. Jake Paul went on to say, man, been boxing for over 12 years, has over 100 fights between amateur and pro, and fought on my undercard. Oh, did Dubois fight on Jake Paul's undercard? No, he had one fight in America. Anyway, but F it. I'm going to have to Naxa talk to Frank. I'm assuming that's one of maybe his manager or something like that. Talk to Frank Warren and get you in line for the throne. Unlike Arthur, at least you have a few thousand fans. So yeah, Dubois is now, along with Arthur Abraham, Artur Beterbiev, Daniel Dubois, Carl Froch, Tony Bellew. Remember Myris Bradis? And it was so cringe because he still had so much left to give. Before he fought Jay Opetaia, do you remember he went to the Lawrence Okoli Mastanek? Was it Mastanek? No, it wasn't Mastanek. It was Lordy. I can't remember his name. The Polish is another Polish cruiserweight he fought in the O2 a couple of years ago. Horrible fight. And he dressed up like Mario. Yeah, that was Myris Bradis. Now I think that was just the time Myris Bradis' career where maybe he was, I don't even want to know. But another fighter, Daniel Dubois though, and Artur Beterbiev, two of the most legitimate fighters in the world, calling for Jake Paul. You know, I understand Carl Froch doing it. I understand Tony Bellew doing it because they're both retired. It's an easy win for both of them even now. It makes them a hell of a lot of money. But the problem is, it shows what I've been saying. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It shows how big Jake Paul is. I know some people don't want to admit that, but listen, at the end of the day, you have legit world champions, Artur Beterbiev, Daniel Dubois, both of whom have just fought on pay-per-view. Both of whom have probably made their biggest paydays in their last fight, but they still see Jake Paul as that much of a bigger fight and that much of a bigger payday that they're willing to even try and ask the question. Not that Jake Paul would ever entertain fighting Beterbiev or Daniel Dubois, in spite of the fact the amount of money that will be on offer, because Jake Paul hasn't got a death wish. But it shows how big a name he is in the sport of boxing, whether people want to admit it or not. And listen, that Mike Tyson farce over the weekend was a joke. I think everyone knows that. But at the end of the day, look at the amount of viewers and look at the amount of eyes they put on the sport of boxing. And I'll talk more about Dubois now in a wee bit, but I have said this before, and I'll reiterate it, and I'll keep saying it. Jake Paul, his, what would you even call it, journey, for want of a better word, into the world of boxing and what he's done in terms of making these Mickey Mouse fights against former MMA guys, professional fighters, quote unquote, who are absolutely so awful you wonder how they ever got a win, how they ever got a license in the first place, much less got a win, or fighting 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Is it good? Does it look good on paper? No, it doesn't. The one time you step up and fight someone of any way decent note, and Tommy Fury is area level if even, you lose. So you're talking about an area level fighter in reality, if you want to use them on kind of that scale. Area level fighter making millions upon millions, doing insane numbers on Netflix, making gates that, his gate, correct me if I'm wrong, the gate that he made for the Mike Tyson show, it beat Fury Wilder. And I think the second fight for Fury Wilder did a really good gate in terms of gate revenue, and it beat that. I think they made something like 14, 15 mil. Jake Paul Tyson beat that. So this is one of the biggest names in boxing. There's just no ifs or buts. I think even Ryan Garcia's mentioned his name. So you're talking loads of people calling him out. So that obviously shows that, as much as we might not want to admit it, Jake Paul is a name. And going back to what I was saying, there may come a time, there will, I'm not saying there will. I would, if I was a betting man, I'd be putting money on this, that in 10 years, maybe less, or probably less, maybe less than that, but in the next 5 to 10 years, There's going to be a fighter of prominence who maybe comes out of the States, maybe comes out of the UK, I don't know, but there will be a fighter who will do great things in the sport of boxing. Become a world champion, do great things, maybe get on the pound, I don't know, but do good things. He will be asked, what inspired you to take this sport up? What got you into the sport of boxing? And you know what he's going to say? Jake Paul, Tommy Fury. Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. KSI, Tommy Fury. It's going to be these types of fights that will get the next generation of fans in, because with the Olympics, with a bit of an uncertain future, how do you get them in? How do you get them into the amateur? How do you get them inspired? How do you do that? Well, they're looking at the likes of Jake Paul, they're looking at the likes of KSI, Tommy Fury, amongst the likes of Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, etc. And they're getting interested. So if it's growing the sport, is what the Jake Paul experiment, we'll call it, is that necessarily such a bad thing? It's making people a lot of money, it's making the undercard fighters. Like, I might not watch a lot of female boxing, but hearing Amanda Serrano say that she was paid, I think, 1,200 quid for her first ever pro fight to making millions and millions, all thanks to Jake Paul, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. I love hearing that. I don't care who you are, I love hearing the fact you were able to turn 1,200 quid into millions by working with someone. I love that. But seeing these professional fighters, the Daniel Dubois of the world, the Artur Beterbievs, the Ryan Garcia, it's not a good look. And Daniel Dubois is a massive... Daniel Dubois would never in a million years, Jake Paul has not got a death wish. He's never going to fight a Daniel Dubois, anyone like that. But it obviously shows that these, quote unquote real boxers, these elite level, world level fighters, whether they're a heavyweight, welterweight, 175 pounds, they know Jake Paul equals money. And regardless what level they're at in their career, regardless what stage they're at, I should really say, whether Beterbiev, who's coming near the end, whether Dubois, who's coming into his prime, whether Ryan Garcia, who we don't even know what's going to happen with him, he's not able to fight until April next year, they still know Jake Paul is where the money's at. And that's what they're doing. And whether you agree or disagree, that's another thing. But that's the way it is. People have an interest in Jake Paul. He brings eyes to the sport of boxing. And you've got fighters like Daniel Dubois, heavyweight champion of the world, IBF heavyweight champion of the world, Daniel Dubois, wanting to fight this guy. It obviously shows that Jake Paul is a big star in the world of boxing, whether you want to admit it or not. Again, I asked the question. Obviously, I think the event that happened on Friday night, did it help boxing? It got eyes on the sport, but it had a lot of people saying that was a joke, that was a farce. So did it get eyes on it? Yes. But did it maybe damage it a little bit? Yeah, you could argue that. Did Tommy Fury versus Jake Paul damage it? Not necessarily. Got a reasonably competitive fight. Got plenty of eyes on the sport. Made them both a lot of money. Tommy Fury, who was not a particularly talented fighter, made 11 grand. I think the fight before, one of his fights before, made 11 grand when he was fighting in America. You can go and look at the purses. And he made in the millions for fighting Jake Paul. So he does bring money. And with money brings eyes. So I'm hoping, look, as bad as Paul Tyson was, I'm hoping maybe some good can come out of it. But Dubois, Beterbiev, Froch, Bellew, etc., all calling them out, yeah, it shows to me these fighters know really where the money is. And unfortunately, it is with Jake Paul. It's the way it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Daniel Dubois, one of the latest fighters to call Jake Paul out. Let me know your thoughts. I'll leave it there. Hope you enjoyed it, people. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Peace.